The Emir of the State of Qatar is the monarch and head of State of Qatar. The Emir is also the commander-in-chief of the armed forces and guarantor of the constitution. The Emir holds the most powerful position in the country, controlling all branches of state power, and has a prominent role in foreign relations. The Emirs are members of the House of Thani, Al-Thani, whose origins are in the Banu Tamim, one of the largest tribes in the Arabian Peninsula. The current ruler is Tamim bin Hamad al-Thani, who succeeded on June 25, 2013. The House of Thani is the ruling family of Qatar, with origins tracing back to the Adnanite Banu Tamim tribe. Currently, Tamim bin Hamad al-Thani and his mother Moza bint Nasser lead the house. History and structure. The al-Thani family can be traced back to Madar ibn Nizar, a claimed descendant of the biblical figure Ishmael. The tribe moved from the Najdi town of Ushaigur, a settlement northwest of Riyadh, and settled at the Gibran Oasis in southern Najd, present-day Saudi Arabia, before they moved to Qatar. They settled in Qatar around the 1720s. Their first settlement in Qatar was in the southern town of Sikak, and from there they moved northwest to Zubarah, Al-Ruwais and then to Fuwairat. They settled in Doha in the 19th century under their leader Mohammed bin Thani. The group was named after his father Thani bin Mohammed. The family is made of three main branches, the Bani Ali, Bani Hamad, and Bani Khalid. As of the early 1990s, the number of the family members was estimated to be about 20,000. The family and their relatives and associates own significant properties in the Mayfair district of London, with an estimated quarter of Mayfair's 279 acres including two of the area's best-known luxury hotels, the Connaught and Claridge's. The area has acquired the nickname Little Doha. Historical background. All the emirs of Qatar have been members of the Al Thani family. Sheikh Mohammed bin Thani is recognized as the first ruler, having begun his reign in 1851 when he united the country's tribes under his leadership. Qatar became part of the Ottoman Empire in 1871, although Sheikh Mohammed retained control of its internal affairs. Following his army's victory at the Battle of Al Wajbah in March 1893, the second ruler Sheikh Jassim bin Mohammed Al Thani has been recognized as founder of the State of Qatar, although it remained part of the Ottoman Empire until July 1913. The Ottomans maintained a military presence in Qatar until August 1915 and Sheikh Abdullah bin Jassim Al Thani signed the Anglo-Qatari Treaty on November 3, 1916. Sheikh Abdullah was the Qatari ruler from 1913 to 1949, and is one of the few monarchs, alongside the likes of Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands, whose tenure extended through both world wars, 1914 to 1945. Qatar's first oil well was drilled in October 1938, and oil was found at Tukan in January 1940. Qatar became an independent state on September 3, 1971 and, since then, the ruler has been styled Emir, or Amir. Constitutional role and authority. Qatar is officially a constitutional monarchy, but the wide powers retained by the Emir and his family have it bordering an absolute monarchy and autocracy. The Emir holds the primary role in the executive, legislative, and judicial branches, and also maintains ultimate control over the military. Executive authority. The Emir and his family hold uncontested control over the executive branch. While the Consultative Assembly holds some limited ability to offset executive power in certain areas, all its members are themselves appointed by the Emir. The Emir has the exclusive power to appoint and replace the Prime Minister and Cabinet Ministers, who together constitute the Council of Ministers, which is the main executive authority in the country. Legislative authority. In 2003, Qatar adopted a constitution that provided for the direct election of 30 of the 45 members of a legislature. However, the legislature has limited powers to reject legislation by the Emir and dismiss ministers. After nearly 20 years of postponements, the Assembly held its first partial election in October 2021. In May 2024, however, the country's short-lived experiment in electing members of the Consultative Assembly ended with a constitutional referendum abolishing future elections. Qatar's state news agency stated that the referendum will strengthen the social fabric in the most beautiful image and form, which honestly represents an important stage in the country's victorious march and its national unity. The Associated Press noted that the 2021 election came about a year ahead of Qatar hosting the 2022 FIFA World Cup, an event that drew intense scrutiny from the west of the country's treatment of foreign laborers and its system of governance, and called the 2024 referendum another rollback in the hereditarily ruled Gulf Arab states of halting steps to embrace representational rule. Judicial authority. While the Constitution makes some guarantees on judicial independence, and judges are nominated for appointment by a Supreme Council of the Judiciary composed of senior judges, the Emir appoints all judges, and ultimately controls the judiciary. Military and security authority. The Emir is the Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. This title enshrines his role as the ultimate authority over all military branches, the Qatarid Emiri Land Force, Qatarid Emiri Navy, Qatarid Emiri Air Force and Qatarid Emiri Guard. He also appoints military personnel and terminates their service. This power is absolute and places the entire military apparatus under his direct control. Setting defense policy is the sole responsibility of the Emir and his closest advisors, and the Consultative Assembly has never debated security issues. Succession. The Permanent Constitution of the State of Qatar, published in 2005, dictates that the rule is hereditary and limited to descendants of Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani. The constitution dictates that the Emir must appoint a crown prince to be his successor from amongst his male children, in consultation with members of the Al Thani ruling family. To be eligible for appointment as crown prince, a candidate must be Muslim and born of a Qatari mother. In the event that the ruling Emir has no eligible male children, the Emir must select the crown prince from amongst the eligible members of the broader Al Thani family. The former Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Mohammed bin Khalifa Al Thani, appointed his fourth son, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, as heir apparent on August 5, 2003, after his older son Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani, who held the position between 1996 and 2003, renounced his rights to the throne in favor of Sheikh Tamim. The two previous transitions of power between emirs happened as a result of coups. Hamad bin Khalifa replaced his father, Emir Khalifa bin Hamad, in a bloodless palace coup in June 1995 while Khalifa was on a visit to Geneva, Switzerland. Khalifa had himself replaced his own uncle, Emir Ahmed bin Ali, under similar circumstances while Ahmed was on a visit to Iran in February 1972. The role of the Emir of the State of Qatar. Drawing up the general policy of the state with the assistance of the Council of Ministers. Ratifying and promulgating laws, so no law is issued unless ratified by the Emir. Summoning the Council of Ministers to convene, whenever the public interest so requires, and presiding over the sessions he attends. Appointing civil employees and military personnel and terminating their services in accordance with the law. Accrediting heads of diplomatic and consular missions. Granting pardon or commuting punishment in accordance with the law. Conferring civilian and military orders and badges of honor in accordance with the law. Establishing and regulating ministries and other government agencies and determining their functions. Establishing, regulating, supervising, and determining the functions of the consultative bodies that assist His Highness in directing the high policies of the state. The Deputy Emir of the State of Qatar is the heir presumptive to the Emir of Qatar. The Constitution of Qatar published in 2005 dictates that the rule is hereditary and limited to descendants of Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani. The order of succession in Qatar is determined by appointments within the House of Al Thani. They are members of the House of Al Thani, whose origins are in the Banu Tamim, one of the largest tribes in the Arabian Peninsula. The present ruler is Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, who succeeded on June 25, 2013. On November 11, 2014, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani appointed Abdullah to the post of Deputy Emir, unofficially making him heir to the throne of Qatar. Emir Tamim is one day expected to appoint one of his own sons as crown prince. The Prime Minister of the State of Qatar is the head of government of Qatar, and technically the second most powerful official in the country after the Emir, who in practice holds all power and authority. Khalifa bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of Qatar since the coup d'état of 1972, was the first holder of this position from its establishment in 1970. He served as Prime Minister until the coup of June 1995, when he was deposed by his son Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani. In March 2023, Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani replaced Khalid bin Khalifa bin Abdul Aziz Al Thani with his Minister of Foreign Affairs, current Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim Al Thani. Constitutional role and authority. The Prime Minister of Qatar holds the position of head of government, and is technically the second most powerful official in the country after the Emir, in a form of government which is officially a constitutional monarchy, but in practice is more often characterized as an absolute monarchy and autocracy. The Prime Minister's authority is entirely derivative of the Emir's power. Analysts consistently note that the Emir holds the power to appoint, dismiss, and accept the resignation of the Prime Minister and all ministers, with the Emir maintaining ultimate executive and legislative authority, and the Prime Minister acting as a supervisor and operational manager implementing the Emir's vision. The Amiri Divan is the seat of rule of the State of Qatar. It is the sovereign body and the administrative office of His Highness the Emir. It acts as a nexus between His Highness and all governmental and non-governmental bodies internally and externally. Among its manifold tasks and responsibilities, the Amiri Divan keeps His Highness the Emir abreast of the most important developments locally and internationally, submits to him draft laws and other legislative instruments for perusal and approval, and delivers his instructions to the concerned authorities. Thank you for watching this video.